Grow Stack Drive Weekday Live. My name is Ken Jocelyn. I am the host, and I have got my special guest and good friend with us today, Dr. Greg Reid, the author of some amazing books, 3 Feet from Gold, as well as Wealth Made Easy. Greg, phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal probably 60 days since you and I have gotten connected. Super grateful. Greg's been has quickly become a dear friend and an unbelievable voice in my life. Greg, I want to welcome you. Take a minute real quick and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you've got going on.
First of all, everyone off camera, Ken's all chill. We're just having a conversation. The camera comes on. He's like, hey, oh, he's got that DJ voice. He's one of the coolest cats I've met along the journey. And about 60 days ago, we were doing a conference call and we become lifelong friends. It's kind of neat how just one person sometimes can have a positive influence to go on and have a ripple effect. And for those of you who don't know me, don't feel bad. I'm not very popular at home either. So my name's Greg. I'm an author, speaker, filmmaker, been published in about 100 books, 45 different languages. And my latest major feature film is trending worldwide on Netflix called Wish Man right this second.
Wish Man. Tell everybody real quick about one of the things. Obviously, we've gotten to know each other pretty good bit. We did an Instagram Live. I've been out, spent some time with you. You were on our Grow Stack Drive virtual summit. I've been through your book in about a week and a half. And again, I told you I'm cookies on the bottom shelf guy. So for me to read a book in a week and a half means you wrote it for somebody like myself. But one of the things that I've followed you even longer than 60 days for several months. One of the things I've seen you do repeatedly is take chances and do things that maybe other people probably may even told you couldn't do. Talk to me about taking chances and about risk and those things to accomplish some of the things that you've accomplished.
Well, I think, everyone's seen all the bumper stickers and memes. Looking back in life, you'll never regret the things that didn't go good. You'll regret the things that you never took action on. And so I believe it's the action and the law of attraction that makes your dreams come true. You got to think it, feel it, get off your backside. You got to take action and you got to get out there and do it. So for me, I am probably the least qualified guy to do what I do. I'm just a regular cat. I got a D in English. I can't spell. I can't really read. I'm dyslexic. Play me words with friends. You'll win every single time. So I understood the power of work your strengths and hire your weaknesses. So my strength is I'm full of hot air. I'm a good communicator and talker. So I hire amazing ghostwriters to sit down and I just give them all these amazing ideas and they craft them in a way that people would want to read them. Because if I wrote it, it would say action, go, make money, entrepreneur, yay. I'm not that gifted with the words. So they're the ones that crafted in that design. And the other thing is too, where could we be if we stopped living in fear? And it's not the old acronyms and all that stuff. I'm talking about the fear of judgment, the fear of criticism. That's the biggest fear. It's not the fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of it's the fear of what other people are thinking. And the funny thing is, no one's thinking about you. They're dealing with their own situations right now. They say, what would you do if you couldn't fail? What would you do the moment you stopped worrying what other people thought? Would you start that business? Would you ask that girl out? Would you write a book? Would you make a movie? And I just chose to live my life in that moment where I stopped worrying about what other people were, thinking of me. And I focused on what I was thinking about myself.
Amazing. Talk to me a little bit about, I mentioned this book several times. It was a game changer for me. It literally was a game changer. When you look back on the journey, Greg,
yes.
Wherever you're at in whatever season or whatever stage of life, you look back at the journey, there he is. And there's always those moments or those times or those people that intersect your path that cause you to go from where you are to what I would say, or level up, to take you to the next level. Talk to me about the premise. If people aren't familiar with 3 Feet from Gold, talk about the premise of the book and even how you got to be able to write and author that book.
Okay, that's a lot of information right there. So for people who are familiar with Think and Grow Rich, everyone's heard of that book, The Bible of Personal Development. In 1908, Napoleon Hill was given a letter of introduction by Andrew Carnegie, the richest cat of the world, to go meet all of his friends and write the first ever formula for success called Think and Grow Rich. 100 years later to the date, the surviving family in Napoleon Hill and the foundation crafted me a letter very similar and gave me a Willy Wonka ticket to meet any human alive. So I've been writing what's called the Think and Grow Rich series through the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And this was our first book based on the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich, where the miner gave up, 3 feet away from the largest strike in history. And the moral is, how many times have we or someone we know quit a class short from a degree or sales or it's easy to quit, but it's the people that just go that extra little bit against all adversity. They're the ones that we tell the stories about and make movies about today. And so I sat down with the greatest minds of our generation, from the guy who built the elevator to space, to the creator of string theory, the guy who started NASCAR, all the way down to guys who ran all the money for Hershey chocolate. And I asked them what they did and how they persevered. And we put it together in a little anthology that went on to have a little bit of groundswell.
Talk to me about I know the favorite part for me in the book is the difference between advice and counsel. Tell our audience a little bit about that unbelievable transferable principle in life.
Yeah, if you ever watched The Big Bang Theory back in the day, Sheldon was always working on something called super string theory. Well, John Schwartz, who actually discovered what it was, sat me down in his office. It was like one of those big chalkboards you see with Einstein. And he said, successful people seek counsel and failures listen to opinion. Opinions based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, or inexperience, like a family friend who's never done what you want to do. Where, counsel's based on wisdom, knowledge, and mentorship. They've already paved the way. If you go to a family friend and say you're going to write a best-selling book, they might talk you out of it to protect you because they know you're dyslexic and they don't make you look bad. Plus, they've never written a best-selling book. But if I went to Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, sold 1 billion copies, he's going to say, sit down, here's what you need to know, and give you counsel based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. John Schwartz said, if we would spend our activity only seeking counsel and ignoring people's opinion, that's the day your life would change.
So let me ask you a question, Greg. Why don't people go after counsel? Why do people yield to that path of least resistance?
Because people surround themselves with people that they have influence over rather than they have respect for. And I live my life the polar opposite. Surround yourself with people you have respect for, not people you have influence over. So to me, that is the secret of success. And the other thing is, folks usually just don't understand that the most successful people are also the most available people. Right. If you're brand new at something, you're happy-go-lucky, you're fresh, you're cool. If you're at the top of your field, happy-go-lucky, you got nothing to prove. In the middle, pain in the neck. You're filled with ego. Right. You're edging God out. So the secret is to literally find who's getting the results you want, jump to the front of the line, and start doing it for yourself.
Well, that's what I've seen over the past 8 months. And I've been fortunate that you extended an offer and got to spend some time with you. And this is the 3rd time you and I have been together online interviewing you. And I am extremely grateful, which is why I tell everybody I know, this book's made a difference. Obviously, you've made a difference. The counsel part has been huge for me because, you have been you have done what I desire to do. You've been where I desire to go. So you went from authoring books to this wild, crazy idea about doing a movie. Like, where did that come from? And that's just another level, you can get ghostwriters, but you wanted to do a movie.
Yeah. And by the way, we have a guest appearance. Look who just
What's up, buddy?
This is Colt Asher Reid. By the way, how old are you now?
8.
And last year when he was a kid, he had the #1 spoken album on Amazon.com, right? He broke a couple records, and he did it by your mantra. Mm-hmm. So every night before you go to bed, you say something positive. Would you share with everyone what you say?
Yeah.
Do it.
My name's Colt. I'm brave. I'm wise. I'm worthy. I'm successful. I help people. My name's Colt.
Isn't that cool?
Come on, man. I love it. I love it.
You're hogging the show, boy. All right. So back to the question about making a movie. It was interesting. I was interviewing the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation for one of the books called Stickability, The Power to Persevere. I keep looking at all the books over here so I can show them to you and kind of plug it. But this will be the next one that I send you. It's called The Power to Persevere. And I asked him what his wish was, being the founder of Make-A-Wish. And he said that no one ever asked him. I said, well, I will grant your wish, whatever it is. And he said, I just want my story to be told so my grandkids will know I did something. So he signed over his life rights. And I said, that's cool, but just know I've never made a major feature film. but he trusted me, and it took 6 years of more trials and tribulations. You have no idea the drama that went through. However, it turned out miraculously, and we actually made the ballot for the Oscars this year, and we're trending worldwide on Netflix right now.
So I mean, that's not my phrase. I've heard Dr. Maxwell say it. I've heard everyone say it. Great leaders ask great questions. What made you ask that question?
It's usually to get people out of their comfort zone, because everyone asks the same thing. When I interview people from all around the world, the one thing common denominator is I don't Google them too much, because subconsciously we might ask the same question that we just saw. So I like to reach out. In fact, one of the greatest interviews I ever had came from the most unlikely source I ever saw in my life, Evander Holyfield. The boxing legend?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Said, Evander, I go, how did you win so many heavyweight championships? And he says, all I did is have a higher standard. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, in sports, I showed up early. I left late. I invented exercises. I had a higher standard. I won more championships. He goes, where could you be in your own business if you had a higher standard? I said, but didn't it hurt being in a fight? He says, yeah. He goes, but when you're in a fight, you don't focus on the pain. You don't focus on the blows. As soon as you focus on the pain, you end up on your back knocked out. But that's what people do outside the ring. They focus on gas prices, war, economy, and then they wonder why they never become a champion. And he pulled me in tight, an Adonis of a man missing half an ear bitten off by my. Did you know what the funny thing is? He says, when you do win the championship, he says, everyone comes to their feet and they chant your name. They raise your hand in victory, and the guy puts a big shiny belt around your waist. He says, at that moment and at that second, you don't feel even one of the punches you took along the journey. Wow. But the guy in the losing locker room will have every bruise, every excuse for the rest of their life, wishing they had a higher standard.
Wow. So you said it took you 6 years to put that movie together.
Oh, yeah.
So when you got done, was Evander's words true? When you got the belt around your waist, were you like, it was worth 6 years?
It was worth 6 years, because when we did the premiere, the world premiere up in LA, it was on Hollywood Boulevard at the Romans Theater. It was everything you'd see in a fairy tale. And I remember driving, Frank and his wife, Kitty, the stars of the movie, to the airport, and I was dropping him off. And a big John Wayne guy, 6'5", cowboy hat. And he got out of the car and he took his luggage. He was walking up. He turned around and he took off his hat and he said, "Wish granted."
Oh,
that was like chill moment for me. It was like, whoa.
One of the things I talk about in my group coaching, when I talk about my one-on-one guys, Greg, I ask people this question: when you walk in a room, do people gravitate towards you or away from you?
Toward.
There are two types. Well, I know what the answer is for you. There are two types of people. There are thermometers and there are thermostats. Thermometers gauge the temperature in a room. Thermostats have the ability to be able to change the temperature or the climate or the culture of a room. And you, my friend, have the ability to be able to change the climate and the temperature in a room.
Yeah, and I think it's a catch-22, because I'm a little bit of both, to be honest. Every extrovert has a little bit of introvert in them. And so if I am like going to speak, or I'm somehow going to be on the stage, yeah, I put that character on. It's kind of like my suit jacket is my cape, right? I become that character. But if I'm a single guy alone at a party with a bunch of people I don't know, I kind of do take a little bit more, reactive role, and I hang out. But what happens is, for some reason, I start attracting the cool people, and then we get a little hub going in the corner. Next thing you know, you surround yourself with some amazing people. So there are two different, I guess, ways of doing it. But either way, as long as you're attracting and you're putting out the vibration, it doesn't make a difference how you get there.
So why don't more people do that?
Because again, maybe it's because of fear, what people think, things of this nature. For me, I like to meet everybody, because I truly believe every human that we come across will know something that we don't know. So it doesn't make a difference what stature of their life or what car they're driving or any of that garbage. It's just a matter of who they are as a human. So I'm always reaching out no matter what. And that's how we made some of the greatest lifelong friends.
I absolutely love it. One of the things I do, I know we talked about this in the past, but we're going to have new viewers today. There's a couple things that I've gotten from you that have been huge. And for those of you guys that don't know Greg, I sat down in your living room and I actually went to grab my notebook and a pen. And you said, you don't need that. We're just two friends having a conversation on the couch.
You got access to me all the time.
I said, this is my guy right here. I put it down and I was all ears listening. I'm like, Greg, I'm so ADHD, dude. I'm going to forget half the stuff you tell me. But one of the things that we've talked about in the past is you talked about clues and patterns and choices. Yeah. Would you break that down for our audience? Because that's one of the most powerful things I've heard you talk about.
Yeah, I did this book called Wealth Made Easy. For 3 years, I interviewed people worth $100 million to $1 billion. And I kept asking the same question about their life hack. What's one thing they did a little bit different than another person to separate themselves? And one person I interviewed was not the richest guy in the world, but he was so brilliant. I had to put in this text, Mark Anthony Bates. And he said, CPC is the secret of everything. It's about accountability and responsibility for every single thing that happens to it. Stop blaming other people. It is your fault. And it works like this: clues, patterns, choices. If I go out on a first date and the woman is 20 minutes late, I see a clue. If she's 20 minutes late, the second, third, fourth, fifth date, well, there's a pattern forming. Now it's my choice whether I deal with it, adjust it, break up, but it's not her fault. She's just late. It's not my job to change them. And yes. I realized how many times have we seen someone with a bad reputation in business? They'll cheat your best friend. We do business with them thinking it'll be different. And then we're mad at the person. It's like seeing a rattlesnake rattle, bite your kid's sister. You go to pet it, get bit, and you're mad at the snake. Right. Clues, patterns, but ultimately it's your choice.
I've used that with several of my. I was just in Maryland with a client who owned a cleaning business, and I think at one point had about 47 employees. And I literally used that was one of the things I used this week for a couple of her employees, and even one of the people, one of her vendors that actually owned several condos that they were cleaning was, over time, if you're getting the same response, you have the decision to make whether or not it's worth it to me to put up with the dysfunction in my business, whether it be an employee or even the dysfunction with it being a vendor. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you've got going on, Greg. What's coming up on the calendar for you in the future? What have you got going on, and how are you making a difference and adding value to people?
Well, I got Secret Knock coming up in September. So we have the Forbes Inc. Entrepreneurs Top Business Event in the entire world for business leaders. It's the craziest event that you cannot go to. It's like one of those, it's an invite. You have to know somebody, or you go to the website and fill out an application and we screen you very, very good, like a CIA agent, to make sure that you're not a wackernoodle. And what happens is, instead of bringing in coaches, teachers, and mentors, we just bring in the actual person that everyone's talking about. So if you want to start a clothing line, here's the founder of a multi-billion-dollar brand, UGG boots. If you want to start a nonprofit, here's the Make-A-Wish guy. If you want to start an online business, here's a dude who started Priceline. And if you can surround yourself with people that are already getting the results you want and hang out and have a taco and a beer with them, all of a sudden things change. We don't have name tags. We don't play any of those reindeer games, none of that high-fiving, massaging each other. All we do is we look for great communication, amazing fellowship, and then we share our resources and our connections very, very openly.
What's the best way for people to connect with you, Greg?
Go to Instagram is always the easiest, because if you DM me, as you know, I respond right away. It's the one thing I don't have a filter on. It doesn't go to anybody else. It just goes right to me. My only request is I don't want to talk about the weather. I don't want to talk about what you ate for dinner. But if you go, hey, what book should I read? I'm working on this business thing. Send it to me, and I promise I'll respond right away. And then last but not least, I'm doing this TV show called Wake Up and Crush It. I shot the pilot, and the founder of the Entertainment Network loves it. So I'm putting together a game plan for an entire season so we can go out and start pitching.
The one I said it earlier, and dude, I can't get over, number one, your accessibility. It's amazing how many friends that I have that are entrepreneurs will text me and go, hey, or call me and go, man, Greg Reid, he actually DM'd me back on Instagram today and told me, blah, 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 blah. And dude, it really helped me. Or, a book or a movie, and now we're talking about a television show. Greg, listen, I just want to thank you, number one, for your time. Thank you for your friendship, your relationship. You have been, you've been one of those, you've heard the adage that you are the five people. And you are the 5 people that you hang around with or spend time with. And when we talk about counsel, not advice, you have been one of those guys that's not only giving me counsel, but hundreds and hundreds of other people giving counsel and help them achieve. And it's amazing being around people like you, David Meltzer, which I found out you guys were lifelong friends when I had Dave on a couple of weeks ago, which is not surprising knowing both of you guys now. It's just so refreshing being around people who are authentic, genuine, and really have a desire to add value to and help other people.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the next generation of personal development. I think before everyone taught fake it till you make it. And then all these fake wannabes started popping up because it was our fault. We're telling people fake it till you make it. Well, now what's happened is you're seeing a new resurgence, I guess, so to speak, of people that have actually accomplished something. And now they're going out saying, here's what we did rather than what you should do. Completely different paradigm. And by coming from that perspective, you can see things from a different perspective. You can add your own spin to it and do it for yourself. Thanks for having me on.
I love it, man. Hey guys, thank you for joining us today. And my good friend, Dr. Greg Reid. Listen, if you do not have this book, I haven't started this one yet. But if you do not have this book right here, 3 Feet from Gold, man, I highly encourage it. I have bought this for probably a half a dozen clients that I coach in their business one-on-one. Because it made such a difference. Greg, thank you for being on. Tomorrow, guys, we're going to talk about the power of accountability and mentorship. I've got 4 guys who are in my accountability group who are going to join us tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern time. Thanks for being a part of our Growth Stack Drive Weekday Live. Greg, I appreciate you, my friend.
Word out. Bye.